think the most confusing word in the spiritual pantheon of words is attainment. And it has two components. One is the acquiring of something, and the other is who's getting it. And I can only assume that the thing that one would like to acquire is peace, joy, happiness, openness, stillness, love, etc. And the one that wants to have this, acquire it, is you. So the potential mix-up in the equation is the idea of you and who you are, especially as a temporary being. What is the value of acquiring all of this stuff temporarily? Well, it's not bad. If you can have, moments of joy and happiness and openness and clarity and all of that, it's a good thing. And you can acquire it. But there's an old adage, comes from theater, movies, and books. It's called, you can't take it with you. So what is the purpose of acquiring, of acquisition of all of these things for you, when the very thing that you are is a temporary construct? It's born, has a life, a story, narrative, and then it dissolves, comfortably or uncomfortably, into whatever perhaps that it came from, and then it's gone. And where are all the things that you acquired? Where did they go? Well, if you can't take it with you, then clearly you've had to let go of it somewhere along the way, or you struggle at the end trying to grasp it and take it wherever you are headed, and find a lot of discomfort, perhaps sadness, perhaps grief, over having to let go of people you love, places you love, things you've acquired, status, symbol, identity, and it's all being dissolved away. And what happens then is attainment seems like a false achievement, because it doesn't last. It is for a short period of time. But there is such a thing as happiness, love, joy, beauty, all of these things that exist that you wish to in some way embody or acquire, but they are not exactly for sale. So if you stuff your home, your mind, your history, your story with all of this stuff, I became a famous person, I became a successful person, I became a loving partner, I became, or I am something extraordinary. If you have that idea about yourself and you start to realize that that construct is only a construct, and it will not transition to something greater. Of course, that's a story. I may be wrong. What if it all goes with you? And what if you can't take it with you is wrong? But my personal experience, and that of everyone I sort of know, is that you leave this world empty-handed. maybe not empty-hearted. Maybe there's still something. And I certainly, as you know, wrote a line for a film that said, "The love inside, you take it with you." Maybe you take the love with you, but who is taking it? Because in the end, that you is going to be in the ground or in a crematorium or somewhere. So who is the person who attained all of that? And who's the person who expects to at least take the love or the report card that said, "I did a good job"? Who is expecting that? And so all of this repetitive dialogue here, or monologue, is trying to get you to the point of knowing that there is no acquisition, but all of those things that you are trying to get in life are already in place. They are already there. And the more you let go of holding it, the more you let go of the weight of what you have become or are or think you are or own or whatever, the more you drop that off, the more enlightened in some literal sense you become, because the weight of your holding on to your good fortune, to your love, to your containing of all of this success and identity, as you let go of all of that, or as it falls away, or more importantly, you wake up to the fact that there was never you to own it. There was just the arrival of, if you will, presence. This thing which we are engaged in, this life that we are sharing, that we are identifying as ours, that we experience with each other, may not be the thing we think it is. It may be a tapestry that we have woven in a particular way through the teachings of people who've gone before us, who may or may not have known stuff. And we have put together this idea of who we are. And we are searching in this idea of who we are for a permanent self, for something that has attained, something that has made this worthwhile. The thing I love about the spiritual journey, about the road that we are all on, is this idea that Rudy talked about a lot, that the muscle of spiritual growth is not a holding, attaining, and acquiring. It's a letting go, letting go, letting go. The muscle of let it go. And it isn't so much a muscle of letting go of the stuff that's been attained or acquired. It's the muscle of letting go of the being that is holding, that is attached to what is, that is feeling it in some way is the owner of all of this. And as you let go more and more and more deeply, which is a very simple thing, it's a real quietude, you start to feel that all that is already in place. That it doesn't have to be owned, it doesn't have to be held, it doesn't have to be grasped, and it doesn't even have to be let go of. It just is. This profound isness. And then there's the story, and it's very hard to not grasp your own story, because we are made that way. We are built to create a story of ourselves and our lives and our identity and our achievements and our failures and all the dramas that go on. We are built to do it. But if you are lucky or blessed or somehow wired in a particular way, you will start to see that this has a temporal aspect, that it is only going to last for a certain amount of time. And there is nobody in the world who would argue that with you. that it is an impermanent state, and that there is some gained wisdom in learning not to grasp all of the stuff that is falling through your fingers. Because all that will do is create a kind of sense of sadness and loss, and you will be a suffering being. And if you want to not be a suffering being, if you don't want to live in the world of suffering, live in the world of what is. Live in the world of impermanence. Live in a world where stuff comes and it goes, and be, if you will, a witness. Witness all of this. Witnessing all of this requires, if possible, to begin to let go of your story. Your story, meaning seeing it through a very narrow lens. And then it fits parts of your story, it doesn't fit other parts of your story, and it becomes the world of good and bad and suffering and joy and all of that stuff. So letting go, the muscle of relaxing the you, allows you to witness the entirety of all that's coming and going all the time, and to see in it the wonder of it, the beauty of it, the magic of it, the horror of it, the fear of it, all happening and just going. The less there is of you in the mix, the more there is of what is. Not that you aren't part of what is, and not that you're not part of the totality, but every one of these images are old, but if you can see yourself as a wave in the ocean, a molecule in the ocean, but be aware of the ocean. Be aware of the magnitude of your existence. Be aware of how big this is, and then try to let go of the molecular thing that's holding on to a separate element of that totality. Try to let go of the molecule, the muscle of let go, the muscle of surrender, the muscle of detachment. All you do is try to go like that. And then what happens? Well, the great teaching is you discover you are not separate from, independent of, or an impermanent part of the totality. You are that. I am that. And that's, in a way, an attainment. But who is attaining it? Who? Is the ocean attaining its awareness of itself? Does the ocean go, oh, I'm so big, I'm the ocean? Maybe. But it definitely has us in it going, oh, I'm so amazing, I'm connected to the ocean. The ocean doesn't need that, really. Of course, it puts us into play. Maybe it enjoys it. Maybe it enjoys the journey we're on. Maybe it identifies in a way and knows itself through the explosion of billions and billions of particles that each are trying to recognize themselves and in some ways paint a picture of the whole. But my experience, and people who sit in meditation and go into quiet, still pointedness, start to discover that the boundaries between the individual self and the oceanic self are story. They're narrative. They are self-made. They are not purposeless, and they are not there just by chance. Clearly, there's a lot of something happening, going on, that's bringing this universe, this reality, this physicality, this materialization into being. But the great old saints of ancient time who have learned these lessons tell us, relax, let go, surrender, find who you are. And I know I repeat this week after week after week. And I know that it's not a new lesson for anyone, but it is the lesson. It is and involves sitting still, if you can, and going deep, letting go as deeply as you can, so the truth of your state of being reveals itself. And in that is a kind of profound not knowing. It's so much bigger than it can be known, so much bigger than can be comprehended. And yet, here we are, structured, built, contained entities that exist for a moment. And my sense of it is that we're here to know. We're here to witness. We're here to experience this thing we're in. And we're all doing it. And we're all doing it with some kind of imperfect awareness. Now, I'm beginning to understand that imperfect awareness is fine. Living a life of unhappiness and misery and difficulty and all of that stuff, it's fine. That's what you want. That's what you were born into. If that's your karma, okay, it's still an amazing journey. But if something in you goes, I don't like it like this, I would like it to be different, and you don't go for the easy answers like whatever those, pills and alcohol, etc. If you decide not to choose an easy route, if you try to choose the still pointedness, that meditative ideal goes below the surface. It goes deep, and it makes you aware that you are not limited by the conditions you found yourself in at all. People break free of that. People open up despite their dramas, despite their bad parenting, despite circumstances that they wish they didn't have. People get beyond that. In fact, the thing we celebrate most in this life are people who pull that off. It's incredible to watch somebody come from circumstance that is absolutely oppressive and find a way to go, yes. That journey is dramatized endlessly in television and movies and theater. It is a dramatic ride, and it is celebrated in a way because it's so hard to be an authentic human being, to arrive at a point of honesty, to arrive at a point of asking for help, to arrive at a point where you speak your truth, to arrive at a point where you are not living the story as you have been told it and as you would wish it to be, but as it truly is. Arriving at truth and reality is an extraordinary journey into selfhood, into being, into awakening to your real being and real persona, if you will. That's the ride that we are all on. And if you accept that ride and you dig deep into it, there is an attainment. But that attainment is not a bigger, knowing, wise, Buddhistic self. That attainment is that you are one with all there is. It's not you. You are not separate from it. You are one with it. And that oneness starts to have enormous impact. Two people I talked to this week said they're going to start meditating again. This is after 50 years. And I go, great. I can get it because they're getting old. The world's impactful. Life is difficult. Things are bothering them. Maybe instead of going for a Tylenol, I'll go for a meditation and they'll sit down. Well, anyone who's been sitting for a long time knows that an occasional meditation is an occasional moment of sweetness and peace, which is fine, but it's not the muscle. It's not the muscle system. The muscle system takes time, and ultimately you graduate into something that I would call persistent meditation, ongoing meditation, all day long meditation, where you're simply always in touch with the principle of consciousness. And it's really intriguing because I've been around a lot of very unconscious people recently. And Rudy talked about it all the time, all the time. He talked about unconsciousness and how he really had a hard time with it because people would just do the wrong things endlessly, spill their coffee on the ground and not realize it, throw a piece of paper, out the window, say something to somebody that they shouldn't have said over and over and over and over. Unconsciousness is a source of causing real struggle and pain in the world. Consciousness is Rudy's old idea. If it's in front of you, it's yours. If there's paper on the ground, pick it up. If you spill the coffee, clean it up. Consciousness is not just something that you think, it's something that you do. Consciousness is, do the thing this morning that will pay off tonight. Fill your pill case a week in advance so you don't have to do it every day. Little things that give you a future world that will be nicer. That's consciousness. You give yourself the joy and the pleasure of knowing something is aware in you that is contributive to your life, and if you're really good and deep at this, to everybody else's life. If you live a conscious life, you live in that environment. If you live a loving life, a kind life, a good life, where do you live? Right in the middle of that. If you live an argumentative life, a critical life, an angry life, that's your home. You build it. It's yours. Being conscious is really, really important on this journey. And the spiritual life of sitting down to meditate is probably not for everybody. I've watched people who've done it for years and years and seen frustration in people. I haven't attained anything. I haven't become enlightened. I haven't gotten this or I haven't gotten that. Just because I sat still. Well, I could argue, well, maybe you didn't go deep enough. There are depths to your own surrender that are more profound than you would ever imagine. So I could be judgmental and critical, but I know how hard it is to really dive deep into the self. I know that looking for attainment is absurd because there's nobody to attain. So what I have come to, and you all know this, is a simpler work. It can involve meditation, but for those of you who don't sit and can't sit and never have sat, well, very few of you, but it's the old adage that I've been preaching now for a year or so, which is just be good. Just be a good person. Show up as a good person. You create goodness and kindness around you. And let me tell you, Rudy called the spiritual journey work. If you want to know work, being good and kind is work, because you will have every reason and every opportunity not to be good and not to be kind for any reason. And Rudy would also talk about the mandala and how easy it is to be nice to somebody out there 5 miles away or somebody you don't talk to very often, and how hard it is to be nice to the people you live with. That's where the work is. He would say, you've got to start at the center of the mandala. You have to be good and kind regularly, muscularly. Work at being good and being kind. Again, it makes sense and it's simple because you will live in that space. It's just so easy. And if you fail to be good and kind, apologize. Say, I'm sorry. Try again. Do it over. Live that life. Where's the attainment in that? Where is the spiritual enlightenment in that? Well, in the subtlest sense, not carrying your anger or not giving birth to it over and over makes your life lighter, sweeter, easier, and it's your life. If you want to make it more spiritually vibrant, keep it going in as big a way as you can. Feel the capacity you have to be good and kind in the world and watch what that does. It is impactful. It is impactful everywhere. And then, as is the nature of my talks, when you get old and the sissy part that it's not for sissies comes into play, The thing about getting old is the story value, the narrative value of a good person that you think you are, that you're trying to sustain as an identity, starts to break apart. And if you're lucky, what you discover is you are a good person. There's no story. You have become that. You have become a kind human being. You don't have to walk around having people bow down or give you awards or say anything to you. There's no you to achieve that or have that. You just are that. And the reward of that is that there is no you to attain it. There just is the it, which is what you are. This walking, breathing, simple expression of ongoing kindness. That's what you become. You have attained the thing that you always could have been, in a way always are. The underlying truth of your being is that if you get rid of your personality and your ego, and this is mine, and it should be that way, and it should be whatever, you come down to the simplest part of your being, which is the joy of simply being a person, the joy of simply being alive, of just being in this world, of a cup of coffee, of a walk outside, of a hug from somebody. You become that. And there is nobody working it. There is nobody reaching for spiritual anything. You just are that thing. And you are it in such a slight, tender, simple way that when the wind comes and goes, you evaporate. And that's it. I don't know what more to say about it. That's our ride. You can ride a rough ride, or you can ride a gentle ride. You can ride a ride of misery and discomfort, or of occasional contentment, joy, and beauty. There is no constant. There is no permanent. There is only the oscillation of what life is. But if you can get rid of the reactor, if you can get rid of the person who's not being good and not being kind, you will find you'll go, okay. And boy, does that play out well in the world. It goes a long way to bringing you the thing you think your meditation and your spiritual practice will bring you, which is the person you've always been underneath the surface, who has finally decided it's not to be attained. You are the thing you're looking for. Okay. I know there's nothing new in what I just said. And may prove to be the case for forever now. I don't honestly have a new approach, but as I've been reminded, it's sometimes worth repeating. Any questions?
Bruce?
Yes.
Dale?
Dale, hi, Dale.
I'm puzzled about something I think I heard you say, and I'm going to try to challenge it. Having become aware of myself as a very young child, as a molecule of the ocean, I experienced a wild storm. I was all by myself on the shore, and I just became like a part of it. And ever since then, if that ocean could inspire the devotion it did in me as a young person, did I hear you say that the ocean doesn't care or doesn't? I mean, can it not receive the devotion it inspires?
That's a story element. I would call that narrative. Try to imagine an ocean that is the totality of everything, that has it all, that is what is. And I don't think it looks for, tries to inspire, tries not to. I mean, it births us for some reason into the world. So maybe there is story element. Certainly we all create narratives about what it means to be a molecule in the ocean. And maybe that is part of the source of the oceanic sort of reality. But I'm trying to get past story. And I don't know if getting past story is meaningful to anybody else. But it feels to me the person who needs the story is separating themselves from reality in a way, from the story, from the source of story. So trying to put it into terms that have good and bad, things that are, to be gained. I'm trying to talk about something that already has everything and is everything. So the fact that that molecule birthed in you this incredible wonder is a great thing. And I know the person it birthed because I get to know you and really love you. And that person is going to be around for a while, and I am grateful for that. But the you, the story of you, the ocean, the birth of the ocean, all of that stuff, all will go back to whatever it goes to. I'm not pretending to know that. I can only imagine. This ocean idea as an image is so powerful for us because we have images that we reference as ways of understanding this world. I am discovering that understanding is evaporating. And so, yes, to your answer, yes, the ocean probably does know and does care and is doing it purposefully and is wise and is brilliant in all of its construct, and it makes sense that it is. I'm going another step in going, I don't know. I don't know. And it doesn't matter that I don't know.
So what inspires devotion?
A good question. Good question. I think clearly the manifested self has within it this extraordinary capacity to feel, to love, as I've expressed any number of times. Every moment I come out of a period of nothingness and absence, which happens in oscillating ways and very powerfully, when I start to go back into form and into content and into being and presence, the first thing that comes, the very first thing that comes, is this thing that I call love. It comes out of nothing. And the minute love is felt, it's like being hugged by your mom or your grandmother or whatever it is when you are a child. It's one of the first experiences of, and devotion in a way means attachment to that, to gratitude for that. And that, I don't know what devotion is, but it has to do with a reaction to and an involvement in that beauty and love and truth as the three things in my mind that come up first. But those are being the definitions of stuff that are trying to make this palatable and knowable to a person. I'm trying to take it another step where I don't know, where all this codification and trying to tell you what it is, it feels like I'm talking. I mean, if I don't talk this and I just live it the way I feel it coming, there's not going to be talking anymore. Because what's to say? What's to understand? I don't know. I mean, where does devotion come from? I don't know, but it does appear to be among the first things that arise in the creative manifested self. And I get it. And it kind of guides me day by day, all the time, to live with it. There are times where it also completely disappears. And I have to say, when it disappears as completely as it does, and I feel abandoned and lost in the universe, the I that's lost and abandoned becomes the teacher. Because who is it that's lost and abandoned? And lost by what and abandoned by what? And I have two choices. One is to suffer dramatically at the loss, which tends to be the choice of many people, or the other, which is becoming my great teacher. I just witness it. I just watch this thing that gives me unbelievable joy and unbelievable despair. And it goes in its own dance. And I watch and I go, oh my God, here it goes again. One way or the other, up or down. And then I go, the Zen aso, I go right into the middle of that. And I just go, okay. And I am finding that process to be the process of this part of my life. It is winding me down. It's like trickery in a way, making me want this beauty beyond belief and hold on to it, because God knows everywhere I look is beautiful. And then it takes away the very source of beauty, not the manifestation of it, but this thing in me that relates to it. And I go like, it's like a joke. None of this is real. None of this is true. It's just a presentation. And that's a horrible loss. Everything I love is not what I thought it was. And I go, oh my God, this is horrible. And then I go, shut up. Shut up.
But isn't that a story too?
Yes, it's a subtle thing. All I know is find your way into this middle zone and be a witness to the what is. All I know. I can't teach you another thing beyond that. And yes, it's story. It's all story. How do you dialogue about it? What do you say about it? Why do I even give a class? I don't know. But I will tell you, it comes down to this extraordinary thing of being right at the center, right in the middle, and being. I mean, I can't add doing to that. Being. And I do find, yes, but I will tell you, I do find in being that the doors between me and it keep dissolving.
Yeah.
And that there's no mental anything that gives me clarity or sense, but there's no me to get it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's all getting more and more obscure week by week, guys. I apologize. All I can say is hang in there. This ride is going somewhere, and it is not a place you haven't been. It isn't a place you aren't right now, but it is. It takes an unbelievable amount of willingness and courage and directiveness to follow this to where it wants to go.
Don't apologize. Just please keep doing it.
Well, I mean, if it tells me to do it, I will do it. It tells me to set up, show up, do it. But if it tells me not to, I'm fine with that. I mean, there's no identity left. It just doesn't matter.
We need your honesty, because there's not much of it around.
Maybe.
So as you're in the middle of this despair, this movement, are you doing, or are you just witnessing?
I acknowledge it. I tell Blanche about it. You know, I mean, yesterday went from being, just unbearable joy and gratitude, unbearable, and then slipped away. It just slipped away so fast. And it was like that. And I didn't know what to do with that. And there's nothing to do. What am I, Hershey bar? I don't know what the solution is. And I have less and less things to go to. So I just go, oh, okay. And then I watch and then I went upstairs, and I did this stupid thing on my computer, which was that I have a lot of photographs that are replicating for some reason. I don't understand. So I just went and unreplicated for about 2 hours. I just did this stuff, undid. And I felt wonderful after I did that. And I had a wonderful dinner that Blanche made, and life turned around, Although I ended up watching a TV show called White Lotus. I don't know if any of you watched that, but I watched it the first time and didn't like the show. I'm not going to say I like it, but it's more and more insightful at this point. And nothing about anyone in the show is likable. Nothing. There is no redeeming anything. And I look at the world through that lens, and I go, And all I can feel is that I am so grateful for the unbelievable simplicity of the life I live, the non-grasping, non-reaching, manifested need that I have. It's about just sitting still and being quiet. But I've learned more and more about what a mess this life is for people. What an unbelievable mess. And if I can help clean it up, even with one person or two, by just being honest and true about this particular journey and letting it happen, that will be extraordinary. And that's all I'm trying to do. And if nobody comes, I don't have an identity around it at this point. It just doesn't matter. I just, they say sit, I sit. Do you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say, everything is ephemeral, including us.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you can't have more than the ephemeral. But you have to love the ephemeral, knowing that you and it are past,
Yeah.
and enjoying the joy of the moment.
Look, that's an ultimate truth in a way, and the preciousness, the idea of loving the thing that is already over in a way, or passing as you grasp it, is a core knowing of life. How did this beauty come? Why is it so beautiful? Why is it being taken away? Don't know. But it's there. It's amazing. I look at it. I look at everybody around me. I look at all of you and I go, this is so beautiful. And it's temporary and it's going faster now for me than it ever did before. And I'm going, at any moment, it will be completely gone. And I'm not going to be holding on to it.
But that makes it more wonderful.
It does.
No,
It
that's
does.
passing.
I cannot tell you the joy of the last few weeks for me, up until yesterday, where the thing dipped, was, I can't say it was like euphoric, because it's not that. It's just so simple. It's like,
It's a joy.
joy.
The great works on the earth are temporary. The earth is temporary. The
Yes,
sun is.
that's really important.
So
The earth is temporary. All the great things that have ever happened on this planet are here only temporarily. We're actually maybe watching the end of it. I don't know. I kind of hope not, but we do witness the end of us. Witnessing the end of all things is, possible. But then I will tell you, part of the oceanic experience is it's what I would call eternal nature. I don't know if I understand that, but it doesn't go anywhere. Manifestation happens and goes away. It does not. Whether that's true or not, ultimately, I cannot tell you for sure, but the experience of the little bit of that I know is that this is forever.
but whatever became us, eventually is going to become something else.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And it uses all these tropes of bodies and stories and trees and air and present tense. And when you start to see the line between you and it evaporate, what you experience is, it's one thing. It's just one thing. And you are a particle of this, but you're also not the particle. You are. And what do you do with that? Well, again, you write books or you teach or you do something. I don't know what you do, but basically you get up in the morning and go, love brushing your teeth. That
You
kind of,
even have compassion for despicable people.
well, in a way, yes, you do.
They can't help what they are.
And if you start to judge and separate yourself from other people, that doesn't add to the equation. Their suffering is amazing.
So when is your book being published?
It's getting closer and closer. It's being re-edited and working. So the book is, strangely enough, part of the misery of yesterday, because I'm so not interested in my own story, and having to focus so much attention on it right now is a little bit like a misuse of time and energy. But I know I have to, and I will, and it's going to get done, and And it's a story, and it will be laid to rest in a way via the book. I feel less and less connected to it. I was sent an article this morning of a Los Angeles Times interview that I gave 50, I don't know how many years ago, a long time ago. I had no recollection of it at all. And it was just like uncomfortable to read. You know, it was like celebrity in the making, you know, and I'm not served by that. And so even the book, which heightens stuff in a way, feels kind of complex. On the other hand, it tells the story of what I'm trying to arrive at now in our dialogue with all of you. Again, I call it a dialogue, this monologue. But there are lessons that have been learned in this lifetime that are worth probably getting down on paper, and they're going to be out probably this year, next coming year. So we'll see. What?
Of course, everything.
Well, yeah, if you want. Most of you know all the stories. You know, it's
But it's not for you. It's for the people who don't know.
right, right.
So that's, you know, and I know younger people who have been listening to you
Mm.
talk,
Mm.
including one of my sons,
Mm.
who called me and said how much it's giving.
Well,
So I think, you know, you have to endure the
of course, I get it.
act of the writing for others.
I absolutely get it. But I will tell you, when I could have gone upstairs yesterday to work on corrections, I decided to get rid of duplicate photographs. And that seemed like the perfect solution. So, you know, life is very strange. It really is. But I am unbelievably blessed and lucky. I met Rudy. I met Blanche, perhaps on the same day. We produced children who I love beyond belief, grandchildren who are the core of my life. I started teaching this work and met all of you guys. I could not ask for more. I could not ask for more in a lifetime. And when I leave all of this, I will leave with gratitude because I knew you and I've been around you, and because you have filled my life, and because you have listened to a voice that is not Bruce's voice. It's something that has been opened up to share with the world. And I take zero credit for it. So anyway, thank you all. This goes on and on. I love you all.